Narcissists do not like accountability at all. You and I both know that. At this point, we both know they do not like accountability. They can't be held accountable for anything. They can hold you to the fire, but you can't hold them to the same fire. You know, walking hypocrites. But you cannot make them accountable. You cannot um, force them. It don't even the wildest thing is that you can have so much evidence, physical evidence to prove what you're talking about. They'll look at you like that stuff don't even exist. The biggest component of it all is that they don't want to really see how big of a monster they are. They'll ride that I'm a goody two shoe wave for as long as they can, for however long the people around them holds up that that realm, that illusion that you're just so awesome no matter what you do. No, man, you can't treat people like that. You know what I'm saying? Not being accountable for your own actions, not taking responsibility of how you talk and what you say and what you do to people. The narcissist is not going to do that. They do not care. It's not in their daily habits to be accountable for things, and unless it at the expense of their some sort of their survivability. But like for the most part, they don't care about how they do you, especially if they're in a relationship with you. They don't care about that. They know you're gonna be there. They know you value just the attention of just the presence of them, and that's the wildest thing. That's how the accountability of you trying to not like control, but like, hey, you can't just be treating people like this, but like you can't get them to have a sense of that honor. They'll think you're trying to control them, manipulating them by telling them what they aren't when they think that they are. But it's because they got a bunch of other people saying that. So if one person's saying one thing that's different, the thing is this: oftentimes when you're in a relationship with somebody, they know how you are. You know what I'm saying? More than anybody else, they know how you are. So if you're one of those people running from accountability, i.e., the narcissist, this is why they cannot face themselves as monsters, straight up. And it's a really crazy delusion about like how often that even you'll put yourself in the way of the narcissist to substitute that you take the accountability for them, for situations that you don't need to be taking accountability for. They made that choice. A lot of these situations can hurt ourselves and compromise ourselves in so many different ways, in so many different forms. Like I said, we got so many stories. I know all of us do. You know, like, have you ever noticed how they just when y'all get in that argument, and despite how it go down, who's seen it, where y'all was at, what it affected afterwards, the consequences of whatever the case may have you, they'll act the next day, like it just didn't, like it didn't exist, like it wasn't that big of a deal. Playing, playing too much. I always playing. Why are you always playing too much? Thinking that this is a game. It's not a game messing with people's emotions like that. That's why it's so rough recovering from this, because you can't really fathom how somebody cannot be accountable and get away with it so much. That's really what it is, like, for real, like, you can't really, because you get caught up in that confusion and that mental fog, like, you like, dang, you was getting away with all kind of stuff, and letting you run over, walk over, talk, however, do whatever the case may have you. Other people condoning it. It gets crazy because the reinforcement of people that they like to be around, that feeds into that thrill. They'll take that as law, like, for them. Like, they'll take it as being untouchable type wording. That's why it feels like the narcissist always wins. They can't do no wrong because they can't. They want nobody to hold them accountable for nothing. Oh, and you can, you sure can. Especially the moment you do something that's less than, they're gonna blow it out of proportion and make it an insecurity. That's how they flip that on you, man. the lack of accountability a narcissist can really have a bad effect on your life afterwards when you start to go heal and stuff like that, because you don't understand how a human being like that could just walk around and just not have no concept. They can't fathom, you know, it's their fault. Like it's like they can't fathom that it's their fault when certain things are happening, when the relationship is going through turmoil. Like you know you're causing these issues. It's weird. It's so weird, because it's like you're not trying to, like, I don't know about y'all, but it's like when you try to have a conversation, it's like, hey, you do realize this wouldn't be happening if you just stop doing the thing that's causing it to happen. But you continue to do it because it continue to push you to see how much you can take, get you under that shock collar. I I know, man, but I just it's real though, because this is how they do it, and it's confusing for a lot of the times. It's very confusing. I think when you deal with them and you in your own perception of what's happening, especially in like the context of whatever it is, whether it's the dynamic of parents or kinship or in a relationship or friends, like it's rough because you gauge the situations as if like they're normal people. You're not dealing with normal people, and you're engaging in situations with them as normal people. And as you are talking to them and try to be as such as a normal person, you realize how out of touch of reality they really are when it comes to this, like not being accountable for the things. Like you do realize this is happening because you're doing it, but they'll blame it on you and say that you're the reason why it's happening, or you're the reason why that's making them do that, making them make this choice that they can make a choice to not do the thing. It's off the chain to me how, at least for me, like it used to just slip over my head. Like, man, that's why I be talking about these videos in detail about certain situations where you're not thinking about it, where you're getting groomed. Like, oh man, I'm getting groomed into not holding them accountable. How dare I get scared to? Is what it really is, to be honest with you. And I hate to say that, but it's just what it is. Y'all, we get scared to. We get scared to hold them accountable because we know once we do, it's gonna blow up into a completely different situation that's gonna go 0 to 100. Why are we here? We're here because I decided to say, hey, but that's a lot of these situations. That's why it's so easy for them to go off to the new supply, because they're not holding them accountable for that stuff. They're going, if anything, they're going to condone everything because they want to entice the narcissist to be around them, and whoever else they're triangulating you with, or whoever else they're taking over there to, let's go do this. Like, I don't know if y'all know this, but like a lot of times, even with the group of friends who like the narcissist to hang around with them because it's fun to do all the party stuff and whatever the case may have you, they're going to entice them to have these kind of problems at your house anyway. You know what I'm saying? About holding them accountable, and now you gotta compromise your mental being, your well being, and say that it's okay for you to go off on a trip and I barely hear from you because I gotta be secure. Like, it's wild. It's wild. It's wild. And these situations get so intense, especially when they do the whole like the ghost thing. You barely hear from a couple of days, or y'all know what I'm talking about because I be seeing the comments where you barely hear from a couple of days, and you ask them where they at, but they don't want to tell you where they was at. They try to tell you indirectly. Everything is deflective with a narcissist. When you try to talk to them direct, it's deflective. That's why at least for me, I be looking like, man, how you hear me? You know what I'm saying? They hear you. And no, but in indirect talk, indirect truth, talk to you as if like you're the child, and how dare you hold me accountable, your parent, type ordeal. That's how they looking at you, when in reality it's the other way around. It's like low key, but you're not even trying to be that. It's just it becomes that because you're trying to make sure they be safe when they make these choices that they're not holding themselves accountable for, that you may have to or take the fault of, because it's an honor of the narcissist. You know what I'm saying? Like it's it's crazy because you can put yourself in situations where it's just yuck, for real. It's situations where it's just yuck. Like, dang, this didn't have to happen. Had I had just not, if had I just let them make their choice that they always make, that puts them in that situation where I gotta come save them. I should just let them make that choice. Sometimes this is what I realized too, man. You can't save everybody. I mean, especially people who decide to continue to put themselves in the same situations that they don't need to be in. Like when it comes to stuff like that, and narcissists is really good at doing that. That was like one of the biggest truth bombs I've had to accept on this journey of healing from all of this, was to understand, like, I can't, you can't, can, you're not changing the narcissist and how they think, no matter what you say and no matter how much proof you got. You're not going to hold them accountable to their actions. They're going to always feel like it's somebody else's fault for the most part. They're going to blame you more than anybody because you're the closest person to them. So why not blame you because you're going to always be here? It's just it's off the chain, man. The accountability issues the narcissist has, and they'll never really for real take ownership about any of this stuff, no matter what it is. They'll do it for the sake of damage control to, like I told you, that twinge. You know what I'm saying? They'll do that to sedate you more with the love bomb. You know what I'm saying? Get you calm. But like for the most part, they're not going to keep. That's not something that's normal. If anything, you need to be taking fault. You and I need to be taking fault for however they act and however they do it, because we're the reason. And then they'll have everybody else emphasize that we're the reason. And that's why you work overdrive. That's why you get so tired. That's why you get so irritated, thinking to yourself, sleeping next to the narcissist, wishing for a better life. You know what I'm saying? Listen to me, what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. Like, I'm joking, but it's at the same time it's real, because in your mind you thinking like, dang, this is gonna be forever with somebody like this who just can't be accountable for anything. Like, take no fault in nothing. Everything's always your fault. Every argument. You're insecure about completely everything across the spectrum, whatever that looks like to the narcissist. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just it's a constant thing, and like it's mentally abusive, because you don't now you feel like now that you are the doormat, for real. You got to be there because this is just how they are. It's just how they are. You know what I'm saying? You taking the accountability for them. Oh, I'll whatever. What they do? Oh, okay, this is just how they are. I'll fix it. Like, you take accountability for them. And it just sucks, man, because to be honest with you, I wish they would learn what that is, because they don't really know how much damage they do to people. They can't conceptualize that for real, because in their mind it's all a game in the playground. You know what I'm saying? If they could just understand for real accountability, and understand the damage they do to people. A lot of people, it's hard for people to get out of these toxic ruminations people be having. This stuff is tough. Trust. My whole entire journey was just like, I didn't never think that I was ever gonna get rid of, like, just thinking about, like, what in the hell. But it's hard, but it's doable. But it's hard, but it's doable. And I tell anybody that I've consultated with, that I train, coaching, and stuff like that, when I'm hearing these stories, like, it's doable. It just takes daily practice, daily work. It's just it's a healing is a lifestyle, not a destination. You feel me? That's something else that I had to learn at the beginning of my journey. There is no ending to this. It's a forever ongoing thing, because you have to be able to give yourself that self-worth. You know what I'm saying? You can't rely on the validation of the narcissist and validating them by not holding them accountable. You know what I'm saying? They find validation in that. They find validation in not being held accountable, because they understand that they're so important to you that you'll let them do this thing. Oh, I'm really important to them. They'll let me do whatever I want to. And it's wild. And they'll not hold their friends accountable who's narcissistic too. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. And those actions will get worse and worse as you deal with them. Enticing the illusion. That's why you're always insecure. This is why you're always in arguments. This is why everything is always your fault. Because you know how to think for yourself and hold yourself accountable to things. That bothers the narcissist on so many levels, that you know how to do that without somebody telling you to, because it's just in your moral code. that listen, because it's in your moral code. A lot of these actions the narcissists do is just because they bother by how you really are. You know, you hold up a mirror to who they aren't, not because you're doing it on purpose for your own ego booster, but they'll take it as such. You're a goody two shoes. You think you know everything. They'll say these and spew these comments at you 24/7 to so you can downplay yourself. All to just get you to not hold them accountable so they can do whatever it is that they're fancy. It's wild. It's wild. And I know these situations when I'm saying this stuff could be off the chain, but it's real though, because you be surprised how often and how many people are in these kind of manipulative systems that narcissism puts them in, especially when it comes to not holding them accountable, because you can't. They'll get you to the point to where you can't hold them accountable. That's why it feels like they can't do any wrong. The narcissists can never do any wrong. You know what I'm saying? They can do everything. They're amazing. They're only amazing because nobody's telling them that they're not amazing. Everybody just giving them a participation trophy so they continue to do whatever that buffoonery is. To be honest with you, bro, sis, if I'm gonna keep it a stack, that's why I said, like, don't worry too much about when things go to the ending of stage of where the discard and everything else is. Don't worry too much about how it is afterwards. Just understand that behavior doesn't change. They'll find somebody else that won't be able to hold them accountable and do it if not worse on a whole different scale. Because they like, if they can get you to do it like this, or I can get somebody else to do it even worse on a whole different scale. You know, don't worry too much about why it is that they get away with everything. Why it is that it seems like they're untouchable. They're untouchable in their own mind. In reality, it's not that. It's not this. That the power they think that they have, that they show you about how they could just do whatever it is they want. It's not like that, man. It's such an illusion. It's such an ego boost for themselves. It just hypes them up. They want you to hype them up. They want you to be the hype team. They try to gather people to be the hype team so they can always feel good about themselves, because they can't do it by themselves. They can't make themselves feel good by themselves without people. You know what I'm saying? They recharge with people. It's just, it's crazy. That's why when you get into that moment of solitude and you have these thoughts where you feel like what I've mentioned, the narcissist can't lose and everything feels like this is you understanding you and getting okay with yourself, and getting back to a normal state of mind to where you can hear yourself. Oh man, I actually care about my well-being. The narcissists don't care about their well-being. That's why I'll be telling you the separation of the ideology of when when you're on this path of trying to learn information to figure out what it was, what happened to you, and what it is. You're already tiers ahead of the narcissist when it comes to mental health. You know what I'm saying? A state of awareness. You know what I'm saying? Autonomy, health and wellness, all these things. Like a lot of these things the narcissist is not thinking about, because most of the stuff they're worried about is thrill, fun, happy, happy, happy. Don't hold me accountable for anything, or I'm gonna blow up the entire situation and sabotage it. I would not. There's not enough money in the world for me to want to be around anybody else like that ever again. Just blowing up situations, and then again taking accountable for the situations that they blow up, compromising yourself in so many different ways, in so many different forms and fashions. It's wild, man. And like, I just want to say this: like, you're way more important and meant for so much more than having to deal with such a behavior 24/7. Yes, you. And you on the journey right now, way past this. Yes, all these this your entire value of self is so much worth more than having to belittle yourself and think less than because somebody is trying to get you to think a certain way just to be able to control you, just for their own entertainment value, if you rather. You feel what I'm saying? Like you're so much worth more than all that. You know, you don't need to have to deal with such an individual that can't hold themselves accountable to what would equate and build into a successful and healthy relationship. Like you have so much more value than that, bro, sis. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, for real, for real. So I hope this message finds you well. I'm Fonzie Murph, and I'm out. Peace.